So Matthias downloaded this seventh seal, what was it, 1990?
92, yeah.
In 1992.
First few slides.
Yeah, and what it is the universe is made up of a series of numbers that weave together to create a fabric. And then it has building blocks which come in the form of geometric shapes. And so those geometric shapes hold divine perfection and energy. And this particular one may have first been seen on the planet during the Melchizedek mystery schools in Egypt. It's part of the signet for the highest mystery school that was taught by Melchizedek. And what it does is it opens up all of your chakras. So it's designed to open up the crown, but if there's anything else that hasn't been opened already, it'll activate those on its way up. So some people have Kundalini activation, some people have just different experiences. So that's what the seventh seal is, and we're going to talk a little bit more about numbers and codes.
Indeed. All right. And well, there's going to be some introductory stuff and some little bit profound stuff. I'm going to be doing also a course online so that if somebody wants to get a lot deeper into it, it'll be available. And one thing to realize is that this is kind of like advanced math, even though it's real simple. Numerology at the base of it. Essentially, I've proofed all of it, so some stuff you're gonna maybe want to take my word on and you can check it out later. But basically, there's a message, and this message has been also memorialized in stone by all of the alignments and everything that we find in the Giza plateau. And so it's really quite astonishing when you look at it through a particular lens and understand this information is very transformational and shifts your mind, shifts your perspective. And the more you have an open mind, the more you're going to receive. And of course, I hope that this seventh seal has just opened your mind a little bit and got you ready to receive this information. So let's take a look at what it says here. I'm going to have Miss M help me with some of the reading too, so that
Another test.
well, it's a balancing. It's a balancing of the male and the female. Everything. Well, you'll find out. We'll see here.
The perfect model in heaven reveals the whole picture, harmonic interplay of the highest primordial elements, the story of the middle balanced way. Hermes learned deeply of the mind and its mysteries, for therein lies the secret of immortality. The union of the word and the mind produces that mystery called life. Romans 12:2. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. In the Gnostic scripture entitled The Testimony of Truth, Jesus says, become the disciples of your own mind, and then you will discover that your mind is the father of truth.
How many people have ever heard, and I can't see because it's darker, but you know this Gnostic scripture thing, the Dead Sea Scrolls, a lot of people heard about that. And so the Gnostic scriptures, the Numerology library was found a few years before the Dead Sea Scrolls. And so I like to listen to it because it hasn't been tampered with in 2,000 years by the hand of man. And so let's see what it has to say. This is the middle way that we referenced in the first point on the last slide. The middle way is a zodiac trail that's found in Dendera, and basically we've come to understand that there's a middle way, and these to mark the Golden Gate and the Silver Gate 1122, and Silver Gate, which just happened, the Gate of Abundance that we talked about on our show, 522, and the upcoming gate 1122. So opening the crown chakra, so when that happens, we go online with our divine self. We have more access to all that we are, and our divine purpose, our divine purpose flows more accelerated into our life. It's been found that the capstone is the crown, the seventh seal. The Great Pyramid is the seventh seal on the planet. They used to initiate the members of the mystery school through the Nile, 7 locations for the 7 chakras, and this was the 7th and final one. It's also interesting, some 20 years ago I was told about a hidden chamber, which is also the location of the pineal gland. So there's a lot that was built into this Great Pyramid. It's not just how amazing it came together, there's multifaceted components to how wonderful it is. So the divine alignments that have been happening, in 2012 we were told it was the end of the Mayan calendar and the Egyptian calendar. Well, just recently, right around the Silver Gate, a lot of the scholarly people that were studying this stuff said, well, we were wrong, and it's actually the beginning of the 9th cycle. And so we have a deeper understanding that we are truly in the end times, which is the beginning times, and these grand celestial alignments and the activations that have been occurring with the grand crosses. I don't know how many people are into astrology and all that out there, but all these celestial events are true event horizons. In fact, the 6th seal was opened 4 years ago on Easter, where we had a great big grand cross, and then we had the blood moons. Of course, we had one last night, but there was like an alley or an array of them. And that has been preparing us, opening the information. See, the way that works with humanity awakening is in the 60s, we had the heart chakra open for humanity, and it was about the love and the love in and the peace, and let's not fight, let's make love. And then we moved into the information age, and the throat chakra began to open with the internet. We had access to all this information, and we got more spiritual information, and we got more truth, and our mind began to open even more. And so the third eye opened, which was the 6th, and now we moved to here, the 7th. And all the solstices and equinoxes have been amplifying the connection to our higher selves, and divine consciousness as we've been practicing watching our thoughts, because our thoughts do create reality, and harmonizing ourselves, balancing our thinking so that we can master our emotional bodies. It's all about mastering your emotional body. That's the key, blending the mind and the heart. Each master number date amplifies the energy and the alignment to the central sun. And as we pay attention to the number synchronicity on the clocks and the reality around us, the consciousness of light emerges and blends with us, thus further empowering and manifesting the ability to create by thought. How many people are noticing that your thoughts are manifesting your reality at a more accelerated rate? Well, that was happening to me when I was first exposed to, we'll get to that in the next slide. So we are in a very auspicious time. According to the calendar in stone, the Great Pyramid, this describes the so-called Phoenix cycle of our galactic orbit where the present time period ends, much like the Mayan calendar idea. But the final blood moon in 2018, which was yesterday, as the signs of the times and the Golden Gate alignment revealed in Dendar Zodiac are upon us to awaken your divinity. And so, yes, I was about maybe 16 and 17, and I started to see an increase in seeing 11:22 on the clock. I have an epiphany. I go to write in my journal, look up at the clock. What the heck? It keeps happening. Okay, somebody's trying to get my attention so that I could bring all this information through and then remind you. And so, yes, in 1992, I was guided to grab a ruler and a compass, and I just banged out this, of course not with the 7 in front of it, but you all know the seal geometry by now. And I also felt it was very connected to the Hall of Records. And in fact, this cosmic scientist friend, this time traveler that some of you have heard me talk about on the show, who appeared in my life around that time, said that this seal was on the entrance to the Hall of Record and in the capstone of the Great Pyramid. And there I go with my quick thumb. It also, through my awareness, highlighted when I went to Egypt the first time, Drumbelow was making popular the golden mean ratio running through the top of the pyramids like this, and I was in Egypt going, what about the secant line? It was in your book. This is more important, you know, that bifurcates those squares and comes down to the 0 point. And so when I stood in front of the Great Pyramid right there, I meant to say in front of the Sphinx, I had an emotion run through me. And I just about burst out crying, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to reveal the whole truth. I'm like, what? Okay, what truth? And so the Hall of Records is right there, right off the left paw of the Sphinx, and there's a bunch of things that kind of confirm this from my experiences going there. But more importantly, Egypt was called Hepti by the ancients. The name for 7 is Hepti, which means to point or the pointer. I see a 7. I see a 7. Pointing the way. And so the Great Pyramids were set up to point the way home. And the divine portal and the activation and the alignment and all the codes that I put together, we're going to learn more about what's inside of this. It's not just the zodiac, it's everything combined together with new frequencies that are awakening us. So my own activation took place in 1991 when Mother Mary channeled to me, you're going to do a great book, wonderful material. I'm like, me? Well, what's it going to be about? It's going to be about sacred geometry and numerology. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And then I bought a little book on numerology, and this fell out. A little piece of paper said, the key to the universe. And it had this set up like this. And, well, actually, it had the 1 up here and the 2 down there. And I kept looking at it like, what? This is bunk. What are you talking about? Then I had this knowing to do a divine reversal, to switch places between these 2 right here. And that's an interesting thing that comes out throughout the material. Like, for example, left brain, right brain, right? Does the left brain control the left side of the body? No, it's just a cross. So this is like a divine reversal. Once I did that, I looked, 1 plus 6 is 7, 4 plus 3 is 7, 9 and 7 is 16 or 7, and 1 plus 4 is 5, and 1 plus 7 is 8, and 1 plus 2 is 3. It just like magically opened to me. And I was like, okay, maybe we do have the key to the universe. And then we're going to get a flash of the future, probably constantly. I'm then studying numerology, and I'm looking at all these words, and I'm starting to find similarities, like the truth is 78, and the children of light is 87. Look at, there's a divine reversal, it's the same number, it's just inside and out. For those of you that, have started to read my book, this is kind of introductory and basic for you, but this lays the foundation to help us understand that the ancient Jewish mystics and a lot of these folks back in the past, the Gematria Cipher of understanding this is like a Kabbalistic system for discovering the hidden meanings of letters, words, and sentences using numbers as letters of the alphabet to unlock secret codes. For example, Melchizedek Master is 1122. I mean, I was like, wait a minute, that's that number that you kept showing me when I was 17. And every November 1st, it would start, the synchronicities would increase, and I would see the numbers like building up to the 22nd of the month when energy was coursing through my body. This happened for like 7 years. And so understanding that this message, 1122, is tied to the balancing of the mind and the heart, the master builder being the 22, and 11 being the master healer. This is profound, and we're going to have Miss M share a little bit about when I say one thing. When I was 26 years old, I was guided to go to the Gnostic scriptures, and I opened up the book, and this was what it opened to. What's it say?
Gnostic Jesus was asked, how do you enter the kingdom of heaven? He said, when you make the 2 one, and make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and you make the male and the female one, and the same, one and the same, so that the male might not be male, nor the female be female, then you will enter the kingdom. Gospel of Thomas saying number 22.
Wow, that's powerful. When the two become one. And so I'll read this one because it's emphasized even in the emerald tablets. And I think we hit that in a couple more slides after a little more depth of the numbers. We come to understand that unless you make the left hand like the right hand, and the things above like the things below, and the things in front like the things behind, you're not going to really realize this consciousness. You have to harmonize and get equipoise with everything. So the energetic balance of the male, female aspects of self are what's driving the boat. Not your emotional body reacting because you've been triggered, but rather your higher self's in charge, integrating the lower and higher self. And the past and the future are more focused on the present, the eternal now moment. So the greater mysteries, they exist. There was these ancient mystery schools, and we even have things in the Bible that are pointing to it, alluding to it. God's wisdom in a mystery, even the wisdom that hath been hidden. Well, what you hiding it for? Daniel was told to seal up the book. Don't allow it to be opened until the end times. That book has 7 seals on it. Well, it's being opened now. The Gnostic Jesus expressed, I shall reveal unto you things which have been kept secret since the foundation of the earth, things which prophets desire to look into. The Gnostic Jesus further goes on to say, for without the mysteries, no one will enter into the light kingdom, no matter whether he is righteous or a sinner. Let's look at the word sinner for a minute. It's actually just an archery term. It means missing the mark. So try again. You know, you're not going to hell, folks. This is the church trying to brainwash the Roman Catholic, I call it churchianity, trying to brainwash us, cut us off from sexuality, shut us down, prevent us from, you know, being a whole system, right? So when you have the whole system, you get Christ consciousness. And when I was studying this, I also started to notice other number sequences that were appearing. 7-11, hey, I thought that was in Vegas, man. Like, come again now, you know. I'm going to run down to the corner and get some soda pop. You know, so the other thing they've done is they put truth right in front of your face, like 666. Actually, when you get deeper into the material, it's not a bad number. But they brainwash us to go, oh my God, run from that. 6 protons, 6 neurons, 6 electrons. The human body is a vehicle, a carbon vehicle, in order to be in this reality. I am the beast to experience it. So you see what they've done to us? And so when you begin to know things like T is also a 20, not just a 2, when you begin to work with the higher numbers, there's a meta-numerology that pops out. That is a 252 instead of a 711-9. Well, I was quite startled because my birthday is 5/22. And I'm like, ooh, what does that mean? Certainly I was encouraged to proceed. And I discovered the ancient roadmap home, that the map in this map on the ground, everybody's looking at those 3 pyramids way down here. I was like, why don't we, you know, instead of being microscopic, let's expand and look at a lens of the macrocosm, microcosm aspect of this. And I want to know, where are these lines coming from that you're talking about that's going through the top of the pyramid? Well, they're coming in from star systems, the Pleiadian system and the Sirian system. And then I was also looking at, okay, if the Christ consciousness is 11 and the cosmic consciousness is 22, 11 plus 22 equals 33, it must be divine consciousness. So it all comes together. And so that must be a pretty important message, that the 2 of these become 1 at the 0 point. Then I found that all the masculine words that describe this story add up to 22. All the feminine or feeling or, you know, Isis, etc. here all add up to 11. I was quite astonished to realize this information was awakening our consciousness and enabling us to expand into divine consciousness. So in fact, the underlying metamechanics of the universe are just about the male and the female, the mind and the heart, the electric and the magnetic. It's not about the boogeyman and this is, the devil and this is dark energy. Not at all. It's about everything has this field around it to be in existence. And they cannot exist without each other. Masculinity and femininity are again 11-7. There's that Christ consciousness. It's all starting to come together now. Whoa, so I'm like, yeah, I'm on fire. I'm going down this path. I'm like, I know, I think I know exactly where this is going. And I'm going to be falling over if I don't watch out where I'm going. Thank you. So odd and even, again, just dark and light, 7, 11. And so if you take 1 through 9 and you just simply go ahead and add up all the odd numbers, it comes up to 7. Add up the even, it comes to 11. Whoa. Negative adds up to 11, positive adds up to 7. Then I start to go, okay, how'd that happen? How's all this like keep working out? Who did that? You know, is that divine consciousness? Is that like the Bible code? Anybody know about the Bible code? Like, did somebody spend all these painstaking nights awake putting this information in there that, you know, the name Bush is going to happen in the future and we're going to code it in there? Or was it like the invisible divine hand? You know, this is all self-aware. These were good questions I was asking myself. Just like, how come I can't push a button once? The word 7 adds up to 11. Are you freaking kidding me right now? The word geometry, 7, 11. So, there's divine intelligence in here for sure, because if you look at the seasons, what's interesting about each one of those words? 6 letters long, each one of them. How many hours are in the day and in the night? You can't tell me that this wasn't like pre-arranged, huh? And that all that adds up to 7-11? Come on. It's all a balance. Man, you want to share your thoughts on that slide?
Let there be light in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for the measurement of the day and the year. This is 1:14.
Probably should have been 1:7. Somebody was like, fell asleep at the wood bench, huh? Okay. Well, no, they're saying, yeah, this stuff was all set up. So set up that, okay, when I first learned about this 20 years ago, and by the way, I'm going to just jump up ahead here, it's been the solution to this. I don't know if any of you are exposed to free energy devices when they understood that there was a bunch of numbers going around here and that you had to put the numbers in the right location on the geometry. That's why that 7th seal, when you hold it up to your heart, you feel it expanding because it's got the right information in the right place. So yeah, again, the proof is in the work and it all adds up, and so we're not going to, bore you with the details except this one. When you follow this down arrow coming out of one of these sections right here, 2 plus 5 is 7, 6 plus 1 is 7, 1 plus 6 is 7, 5 plus 2 is 7. Reverse coming up, 7 plus 4 is 11, 9 and 2, 11, 6 and 5, 11. And there's an 11 right there. The fabric of the universe is made up. Now you're going to ask, well, how did you get those numbers and where did they come from and all that? Well, Marco wrote it and did that work for us 20 years ago, so you can look that up online and satisfy the left brain aspect of yourself. But the right brain is going, holy cow, we'll work it all out, we'll get it all in balance, and then we will have the 0 point. Guess what that adds up to? It's the same thing, 7-11. The way of the eternals. Who's that? You're going to learn right now. Gnosis unveiled. Gnosis being the Gnostic scriptures, Gnosis being a divine acquaintance with your higher self, with God. Isaiah 19:19. Go ahead, Meg.
In that day shall there be an altar to the Lord in the midst of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to the Lord. And it shall be for a sign and a witness unto the Lord of hosts in the land of Egypt.
Sheshuk-Ankh, living image of the Eternals. That's what that means in ancient Egypt. I'm getting chills up here. In Hebrew, but 1919, when you take a look at this deeper, the code within the code, there are a total of 30 words in this verse. When you add up all the numerical values in the text, the sum is 5449. The Great Pyramid is 5449 sacred inches high. And when you do a little numerology on that, bam! Master number. That's the other thing. These master numbers are going to keep popping out. So, let's have that one, please, Megan.
The great, the mighty God has set signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, even unto this day.
Hold on a minute, though. Wasn't it somewhere in the Bible they're like, oh, that Moses story and those jumping frogs and that bloody river and Egypt's a bunch of shit, man. I don't know. Here's some good stuff about Egypt.
The Egyptians were the inventors of the peculiar sort of wisdom which is concerned with the heavenly bodies and their order, and that their inventions might not be lost before they were sufficiently known. They made 2 pillars, the one out of brick, the other out of stone. They inscribed their discoveries on them both. The mysteries span both art and science. Understanding this reveals the key to the universe.
Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people studying this stuff and remembering things or discovering things that are adding up. But thank God it was etched in my soul too. And all of us have this eternal blueprint within us. It rings true. Eternals adds up to 22. I am the light adds up to 22. Mastermind, master consciousness. Thoth has said he discovered a magic science that was essentially the key to everything. He also said that the key was hidden within the wisdom of 7. Wonder what he says about 11. Hidden within the number 7 and in the sacred geometry, symbols, glyphs, and seals are all the clues that unlock the greater mysteries. Thank God for the gift of divine symbolism. Ancient key codes within the core story are reflected in images that tell a story. We got a face in the middle of this zodiac coin. What's that going to be all about? You know, we've got these 8-pointed, bars and crosses and stuff. Well, let's find out. Symbolism hidden right in front of us. Everybody knows what the flower of life is for the most part, and that the tree of life is hidden within it. Perfectly and beautifully. But why isn't there a circle right there, this Sephiroth business? Well, they teach you in the Kabbalah and the like that you need to realize that's a blinder. There's supposed to be a circle there. And when you get that realization, then you got a bridge to get into the higher triad, blending the male and the female into one. So would it surprise you then? When you realize the hidden one is there, it's now 11 Sephiroth, 22 pathways equals 33 divine consciousness. Wow. 2 becoming 1. The mind and the heart are equal to the inner male and female respectively. The mind is also both male, logic, female, intuitive. Though divided, like the left and the right brain, the body is also both electric magnetic by virtue of the brain operating on electric impulses and the emotions magnetic responses. Don't react, but rather come from unity. Master your emotional
But it's not
body.
just like Mark banking on our deep discourse.
That's a sepia. This is like, the other side of the coin of Gematria. Or a deeper way of understanding it, because it actually is putting it into those symbols, those imageries that we're now learning about. And then back in the Greeks, they had a value for Zeus. And we're going to understand why that value is significant. What's 612? Well, before we can get there, we have to understand that these imageries, these, loaded, coded pictures tell a story. And so this one here, you've got a descending triangle for spirit, ascending for matter. When you join them together, the 2 become 1. You have ascended consciousness. Well, mother adds up to 7, father 4, that's 11. And then down here you got son, can't quite see that, and daughter, and those come together as 33. And when you unite or join, you get 22. 11, 22, 33, bringing it all together. Man and woman, 22 again. Similar to birth, star, and soul. So it's very profound when you realize that when you add the male's nothing without the fed. Okay? Because then you have the code. And so it's just a simple understanding of on these points right here, to put those numbers in the right places to have this stuff get activated, 147258. In fact, there are people in music. So if you get these notes in the right place with the right number, you get more harmonics, by the way. So I saw this for the first time. I put the number code, like 1, okay, is an S right there on top. And I went, it spells the message. It says it right there, the MSG, you know? And when my dad did this programming language in it, MSG was how you sent a message. Okay, so I was like, oh my God, who's leaving these clues? It's freaking me out a little bit. So the Gospel of Thomas is saying number 106, Meg, what's it say?
When you make the 2 into 1, you will become sons of man. And when you say mountain go elsewhere, it will go elsewhere.
What the heck's a son of man? Well, we're going to find out. So the method to hide wisdom from profaning has been around since ancient Egypt. The clues and way have been hidden in plain sight. Well, no wonder it says that in the Bible. You know, everybody knew that you had to be initiated to get this information, you know. Even Jesus said, I teach to the multiples in parable, yeah? And to you, the disciples, I'm giving you full disclosure. Well, that felt weird. You know what I mean? So he's saying, you know, you come to the mystery school and you get the goodies. So the word Merkaba is revealing some truth because on the top, those that understand numerology, this is like the soul and the feminine up here, 7 also spirit, you know, and 8 is matter, okay, very masculine down here on the personality level. And when you bring those two together, it's 15-6, which is going to be a number that pops out throughout all of this as a code. But it's also interesting, 7 and 8 on each one of these, left and right, unconditional, conditional, heart and brain. Whoa! You know, the same kind of thing, all coming together. And then the divine reversal, like, shouldn't formless be 7? So every time it looks like it doesn't quite work, it's actually, you know, reminding you that it's a divine reflection. Upside down, inside out, it says the same thing. Perfect opposites. Phi and pi, these transcendental numbers, interesting because when you break them down, they add up to the same thing. So the one is harmony and balance between the lines and rectangles, and the other is the circumference of circles, which produces chaos. So it's, again, these opposites. And the same thing can apply to our body, right? It needs to be in perfect balance. What is perfect balance? Everybody knows. It's right here between 7 and 8. Huh. Meg, can you read this to us, please?
Try.
So I can take a breath.
Spoke to me the 9, saying, seek ye to find the path to beyond. Not impossible is it to grow to a consciousness above. For when the 2 have become 1, and 1 has become all, know ye the veil is lifted, and ye are made free on the pathway. Grow thou from form to the formless. Free may thou be of the road bound.
Ye thou, whoa. All those ye's, and man, I'm glad that we don't speak like that anymore. Thanks, Shakespeare. We'll learn why. He changed it up. But right here in the emerald tablets, there it is. For when the 2 have become 1. Boom. little divine puzzle pieces. So this is the seed. This is Sophia's seed. This is the flower of life. Then you got the seed of life, the little 6 in the center. Well, there's a Merkaba in there. There's one pointing up and one pointing down, but yet it's holographic. The microcosm, macrocosm inside of that little sub-leaf still got this 147258. And that becomes important that it's kind of reflected everywhere. And it's also very profound to realize that when you take this triangle and add the wings on it to make the Merkaba, those wings coming off of 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 plus 10 plus 11 is 33. This is a divine matrix, folks. Oh, this is a powerful one. I'm going to handle this one here. That's what Jesus says, knowledge plus love equals wisdom. In so many words, right here, says he created a great eon whose name was Ogdo. That means 8, by the way, for his own majesty, and for since the imperishabilities and the authority, each created a great kingdom in the 8, and also thrones, temples, and firmaments for the majesties. Finally, whoever knows the Son of Man in knowledge and love, let him bring me a sign of the Son of Man, that he might depart to the dwelling places with those in the 8. That sounds like what? But I've underlined some things, and it's going to be clear and plainly obvious that there's simple 11 plus 22 equals 33, knowledge plus love equals wisdom. So let's get this right now. So you've got biblical phrases that add up to certain code things. Like, for example, it says, Acts 7:22, it says Moses. Okay, we've done a lot of Jesus. Let's talk about Moses for a second. Moses was taught in all the high wisdom of Egypt. Anybody ever hear that one before? What's 7 divided by 22? 3.14. So there's a lot of interesting sacred geometry information encoded. Let alone the plain and the obvious. I'm the first and the last. 11 plus 22 equals 33. Megan, you want to tell us what this shares?
Egyptian texts say, the gods help those who know they are the gods. Jesus says, ye shall do greater things than I. The Old Testament says, ye too are gods. St. Paul said, it is through the transformed mind that we will find spirit. Revelation states, we shall all be changed in the twinkling of an eye.
Change your mind, change your reality. So we're all part of God. We're all God consciousness. It's far greater than just Christ consciousness or Buddha consciousness. It's one unity consciousness. This is what we're learning. This is what everybody's waking up to. This is what this means when the 6th seal popped open, because all that spiritual information, the Lord hath come. That's what it says in Revelations, that when the 6th seal opened, the unity consciousness is prevalent. Yeah, baby. Opening more seals and bowls of wisdom. You know, all these statements and Revelations in some of the deeper work, it all just makes sense when you look at it through this lens. I'm the first and last and the living one, the awake one, the unity conscious one. But it's so clear to me that we're in the end times, which is the beginning times, speaking of time, okay? And staying on track here. Anybody, let's start with hey, this. Anybody watch YouTube out there? Any of those YouTubes going, I hear trumpets coming out of the sky, like all around the world. Huh? Is that a sign of the times? What are these bowls and trumpets? Well, earthquakes increase like never before, fire consumes across more states, etc., mining chemicals contaminating rivers. All these things, I've talked about in Revelations, the earth changes, extreme weather patterns, but it's a good sign because it means the beginning, the golden age, is activating. And we're opening this final seal. It's time for the whole story. And when that book was finally able to be opened and this last seal was removed, there was silence in heaven. And then somebody said, holy shit. Okay. Levity, right? Didn't they say? Humor. It heals all. The Bible begins with 7 words and 7 days. The 7's all over this Bible. The Bible ends with 7 seals and 7 spirits. You know, Thoth and the Emerald Tablets talking about the key to 7. You know, God's name is 7 letters. You know, I couldn't quite fit 33 volumes with 3,000 slides that I wrote over the last 10 years into 7 anything, but it's all about 7. And so, let's read this one.
He that hath the 7 spirits of God, also elsewhere in Revelation, 7 lamps for burning fire, and 7 candlesticks, and on the right hand 7 stars. In addition, I am the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. Moreover, I know thy works, that thou hast a name, that thou livest, and art dead. He who is like unto the Son of Man in the middle, who is given the morning star.
Revelation 1:11. And that's not a typo. That says that. It doesn't say, like it said before, sun. In some places it says S-U-N. Okay. The man in the middle. The morning star. I thought morning star was like a Lucifer thing. So, well, there's a thought. Did you know that Mercury only comes up for like 10 minutes? You have to be out there at the right time for 5 minutes or something. It's like a hidden star. It is a morning star. And what's hidden about Mercury? Mercury is the god of wisdom. It's like Thoth. It's like any of these, you know, Imhoteps. It's actually the title that you receive inside the Freemasons when you hit the 33rd degree. You become a morning star. And that doesn't mean you're bad. It means you got the wisdom and the knowledge to set your mind free. So the man in the middle, did you know there's 7 stars that make up the constellation of Orion? And then you got the Palladian, that's known as the 7 sisters. And you know this guy over here, Sirius? Its Egyptian name is Sept, which means 7. Did you know that September used to be the 7th month? Calendar got messed with a little bit to like unplug us from the divine story. But thank God, we're uncovering it, we're revealing it. And dudes like this, Nostradamus said, they will come to discover the hidden topography of the land at Giza, the urns holding wisdom within the monuments. We know that's pyramids because the ancients used to call those the monuments. Opened up. Their contents will cause the understanding of holy philosophy, which will greatly expand. White exchanged for black, falsehoods exposed, new wisdom replacing the established tradition that no longer works. Sound like today? Sound like the 7th seal, maybe, being open? So they recently found the lost book of Nostradamus, and in it there was drawings, lots of drawings. And a lot of what he did is he told his stories. I'm going to get a new one of these. With pictures, and the pictures depicted the zodiac. Okay? And there's a lot of information about crosses in the zodiac. And in his depiction, we've got the 8-pointed wheel, 2 interlocked crosses at the top of each of them, and you can see, you know, here's 522, the Taurus, here's 1122, the Scorpion. These are representative of cusps, because you see they're with these other ones. But basically, he saw the future, and he knew it was a grand time, golden age success. This first one that's depicted is a wheel of fortune, and everything depicted on it is like luck or fortune. Yep. Okay. And I saw that right here. Thank you. Oh Lord, show me the path, give me the path to the wisdom, show me the way to the word. Answered me then. This is him saying, you know, this 9, the council of 9, like, tell me what's up, you know. the Elohim or whoever he's in communication with, and they said, "Through order you shall find a way." So it's the understanding of these 7 keys. It's the depth of all this information that unlocks the superconsciousness, and having the awareness that all these numbers tell an amazing story about the 2 becoming 1. And then there's a few more things that pop out about the number 49. Let's read this one. The 7 thunders. This is from Sophia.
Do ye seek after these mysteries, inquiries, Jesus and Sophia? No mystery is more excellent than they, for they shall bring your souls unto the light of lights, i.e., true wisdom. Nothing therefore is more excellent than the mysteries which ye seek after, saving only the mystery of the 7 vowels and their 49 powers and the numbers thereof.
7 times 7 is 49. So they're telling us, pay attention to the numbers. They're all like saying, these numbers are important. Destiny cards. Studied it for 20 years, found it the most accurate system. It's 7 times 7 right here, 49 cards with 3 on top. Interesting. Megan, what's your card?
Well, that's one of them.
Yeah. And that's mine, and that's mine. That's a little weird. What the heck does that mean? I know we're all one. I'm not certainly up on top of you, man. We're one, and we can't do it without unity consciousness. But when I learned this when I was so young, and it was so accurate, I was like, whoa, I put that in the drawer, man. I didn't know if I wanted to hear about that. Am I on a divine path? Is this, free will? What's up here? But if I didn't pay attention, I wouldn't know that all the Great Pyramid alignments and everything about the Golden Gate and all this stuff. So Thoth says further, deep beneath the images lies my secret. Search and find in the pyramid I built. Each of the others a keystone, each the gateway that leads to life. Follow the key I left behind, and behind seek, and the door to life shall be thine. Seek thou in my pyramid, deep in the passageway that ends in a wall. Drumfellow talked about that. I've been there. It exists. It's a very mystical experience when you get down in there. Use thou the key of 7, and open to thee the pathway will fall. So again, it's all about 7. 7, everything. 7 days in the week, 7 chakras. Okay, now we're coming into the home stretch here, so I'm actually right on time. So who's this dude? Sir Francis Bacon, the son of Queen Elizabeth. Well, I think he may have cracked the code because he was actually hired by King James to edit and finalize the Bible. And he worked with this dude, Dr. John Dee, who was a mathematician, astronomer, astrologer, occultist. He was like the Queen's 007. These were his spectacles. He was the first 007. And he knew what was up. He mentored these guys. Can you read this to us, please?
Okay. Sir Francis Bacon, along with Dee, were both intensely pious Christians, but their Christianity was deeply influenced by the Heretic and Platonic Pythagorean doctrines that were more and more pervasive in the Renaissance. They believed that numbers were the basis of all things, and the key to knowledge that God's creation was an act of numbering. From Hermeticism, a belief that man reinforced by other occurrences had the potential for divine power was concluded and reinforced by other occurrences that would unfold. They believed this divine power could be exercised through mathematics and numerology. Dr. Dee perfected a Kabbalistic angel magic, which was heavily numerological, and his work on practical mathematics, even navigation by the stars, were simply the exalted and mundane ends of the same spectrum, not the antithetical activities many would see them as today. Dr. Dee was a very adept metaphysician with the ability of sight. He would perfect the art of being a seer and channel for the divine. He helped to guide Francis on the divine mission.
Yeah, so they had this table with all these numbers on it, and they saw things, and there was 49 tablets. Look at all this. Doesn't it start to add up? Is the seventh seal something like that? The origins of cryptography. You know, Francis made his own cipher, and that cryptography was, used to protect secrets, and the earliest known use of it was in Egypt in 1900 BC. Well, here's where it gets real interesting. So back in the day, before we had modern English, we had Tudor English, and they didn't have the letter J. So if you wanted to say Jesus, you had to say it with an I, or John with an I. I don't even know if I can pronounce that. So they knew they needed to make this into a language of light, and they added the J right here. This is how it all got laid out. The 26th Z letter in the center. And there's a lot more I could say about this, but when they did that and they set up a new master cipher that had 369 instead of just the way that they did it in the ancients, they brought in something that even Tesla knew. If only you knew the magnificence of the 369, then you would have a key to the universe. Wow. What did he know? In the Hebrew words, the values of the tree of life is 144, the Garden of Eden is 233. Well, the Fibonacci sequence that go in, being rectangle and all that the pyramid is built with, look at 144, 233. So it was these sacred numbers that were being woven into the language. So like 72 names of God. Well, did you see around that circle, 360-degree circle, there's 72 degrees. All these numbers that pop out got incorporated into the language and the information. The descending triangle right here of 963, because we saw the other one from before, woman adds up to 396, descending spirit, okay? We're going to kind of cruise through here. There pops out the 314, basically the numbers that were set up to represent the words for our number system were designed back in the day in a powerful way. Pythagoras, he went to Egypt and started his own mystery school, learned about all this stuff, had the 345, okay, the dimensions of the Great Pyramid. Well, why did they make those flags red, white, and blue? Let's find out. Red is a 3-letter word, so there's a 3-letter section. 1, 2, 6, 3 letters. Blue, 4-letter section. 4, 5, 9, all 4 letters. White, 5 letters. 3, 7, 8. Interesting. And when you add up the numerological value, look at that, 144, 144. Oops, what happened here? Well, that's revealed in a later series. So, the first section of the 126s, actually, 1111, the word, the phrase, a lot of people are seeing that, adds up to 126. Cipher and seals, I'm going to cruise through here to get to a punchline, okay? Cipher and seals, Jesus says, I'm going to give you the ciphers and the seals. So there's a way that you extrapolate this out further when you take 126 and you call it a phrase. That's the beginning number set, and that comes up to a number value. And then you take that number value, 187, and do numerology on it. So you get a series of numbers that are further laced throughout all of this. In fact, when you add up the last number set, it's 432. And 432, the Great Pyramid of Giza adds up to 432. So light codes adds up to 612. That's that first number set. The divine, Yahweh, divine code, they all are 738, any variation of those 3 numbers. It's the last section. What's going on here? Like, really? All that works and keeps working? Yeah. So the 2 become 1. Here's a very powerful one. It's 135. or 153. All the letters of the alphabet, the same number series. Saint Germain, the same number. The Holy Word, God is thought, God is his heart. They're just the opposite. They're one. The Kingdom of God, Throne of God, the 26 holy letters. And the Golden Gate, 1122, adds up to 135. Wow. So yeah, everything's encoded. Here we have 111, and as you go deeper into the material, you'll find, you know, there's 111 all over the place. And what happened to me when this all first came on real strong? I had a dream, like Megan's story, you know, where it's a countdown. And it all begins now. That happened to me in a dream where there's a clock up there and all I see is the digital countdown and it's 1:09 and then it's 1:10 and this voice is like telling me about my future. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. And then they said, it's all going to begin now. And it went 111 and I was woke up by an alarm clock, and I don't set alarm clocks. In the kitchen, an alarm clock was going off. I walked out there to turn it off. It was 111, just turned to 2. I'm like, and it was November 1st. I'm like, oh my God, you got my attention. What do you need me to do? And so that's even broken into, you know, the zodiac. All that adds up to that. Man and woman, all that adds up to that? What? 33 is the same darn thing? So the mystery school and the Freemasons, that was a good thing back in the day. By the way, G didn't necessarily stand for Saint Germain. The number G is a 7. So at the top of their system, they're talking about it's all about the 7. Did you know that there used to be a different cover to the Bible? And that cover had a lot of hidden wisdom in it. And this cover was created by Sir Francis Bacon before he became Saint Germain. And all these things that were encoded in it stand out. Most importantly, the 4 fixed signs. And this is where I'm probably not going to have enough time, so you're going to have to look at this online. Where it gets into the crosses. So what's really, I'll give you some visuals that'll make it come to life. But there's a cross right there. Is that an X or is that a cross? What is that? Who's this dude hiding back inside of here? He's got a little 7 or a little, like, you know, Mason ruler. So no wonder this cover didn't quite fly. You know, it got redesigned. All this synchronicity. Another synchronicity is, how come they keep pointing up? What's that all about? You know, is it a 7? Is it go to heaven? Is it, there's a way. Wake up, follow the way. Even, you know, up there on the wall, got the guy pointing, he's pointing at the bull. What's it all about? The bull in the sky. Huh. It's the middle way. It points to the Golden Gate. Ooh, this you gotta hear this one.
The Freemasons speak of the wisdom of the ancient philosophers who regarded the soul of man to have its origins in heaven. The soul was believed to incarnate into the flesh after having descended from heaven, passing through the gate of man. Having lived another life on earth, the soul eventually left the body after death and returned to heaven again, this time passing through the gate of God. The gate of man corresponds with the crossing of the Milky Way, an ecliptic at 5 degrees, Gemini, sidereal zodiac, while the gate of God corresponds with the crossing of the Milky Way and the elliptic.
5 degrees Sagittarius, yeah.
Yeah. So the Greek writer Macrobius called these gates on the ecliptic through which the souls ascended and descended to heaven, the gates of the sun. This is because not only mortal man, but also the sun dies and is reborn in the precession cycle at the very same gates. When the sun resides on the gates of the sun and at the equinox or solstice, it represents a galactic alignment and great celestial conjunction.
Wow, that's what we're coming up to. That's what 1122 is, the Golden Gate. Everybody knew about it. What the heck? How come we've been left in the dark? Well, we're no longer in the dark. The 8th house is up there. That's at Ogdo. That's the entrance to the Golden Gate. You know, the middle way, the man in the middle, all those things that he was talking about. The middle course, here it is again, Wisdom of Solomon, talking about the cycle seasons, you know, understanding what these living creatures are. You know, Hermes is saying the same thing about the eighth sphere. You know, you need to go there. You need to wake up. You can get out of here. Jesus said, I will also give you the mystery of the baptism for those in the middle and the manner of invoking the invocation for reaching those regions along with their ciphers and seals, their numbers. Jesus says, don't you realize that you and the angels and archangels and gods and lords and rulers and all the invisibles, as well as those in the middle and those belonging to the region on the right, and indeed the emanations of light and all their glory from the same, they're all from the same essence, the same substance, the same mixture. We're all the same thing. We're all God consciousness. We're all unity. And this is the final one that Meg's going to read here, and then we're going to shut this down, even though I could go for 6 hours.
Once the number of perfect souls is completed, then the mystery of the first mystery will be completed. On those account, the whole universe arose. I am the mystery. From the hour that onwards, no one will be able to enter them to the light, and no one will be able to go forth from when the time is completed. I will set fire to the world, so that the eons and the veils and the firmaments and the whole world with all its material and all mankind which exists at the time may be purified. Mary Magdalene asked, will all of matter be destroyed then or not? Jesus replied, every nature, every formation, and every creature which exists, one with another, will be resolved again into their original roots. The nature of matter, for instance, will be resolved into its nature alone. Let him that has ears to hear listen. However, before that all occurs, the faith and the mysteries will be even more fully revealed. As I have previously mentioned, many souls will be coming back by means of the circuits in different bodies, and some of them will be people who heard my teachings during this time. Mr. Sophia.
Wait a minute. Is that reincarnation? We've done this before? We've heard Jesus talk around the campfire before? And he's going to set the world on fire? What's that? That's the light. That's the information that's going to transform us. That's coming out everywhere. We're all waking up, remembering who we are. And that's kind of all the time I have.
Yeah. We'll hear a little more from you